Alright, so I guess, you got some good attention on the last couple of things. So, look, since everyone's just so fucking, curious, but not curious, like you bunch of fickle bitches. So, here's how it works. You want me to, prove my fucking credentials or something? Okay, fine. This is what got me kicked off Instagram. You fucking sons of bitches. But I'll tell you how to build a time machine. Pro tip, you'll never be able to do it. So what? I'll tell you what it's like. I told you exactly what it was like already, dude. It's the fucking golden teardrop shaped thing. It has a computational matrix that looks roughly like a fucking beehive. Like, it's sitting in the top of the sharpest part of the teardrop, one end of it. That thing is making computations that accord with the kind of different pressure deformations that occur in the electromagnetic field that surround the surface of the sphere thing. They're automatically kind of accelerated and twisted towards the tip of the teardrop shape because of the way it's shaped. Stop a bunch of things. And so, that turns it into a series of there's a series of oscillations and signals that are recorded, or not recorded, rather, but reflected in that data matrix, basically, of the beehive looking thing. All it is channels, channels and nodes. And they're made of specific things. Each node has a specific kind of composite material that makes it up. And it's really not anything crazy. It's just like a specific kind of carbon. It's really a lot of graphene and stuff like that. And so it two-dimensionalizes all of those light signals in a specific way. Rotates the shit out of them. Makes it a fucking ballistic event in the end that gets shot out as like an entangled series of photons, one of which is the Higgs conjugate time reverse of the other, right? And that's what's shot down as information, right? And the whole assembly is kind of, a bunch of those are shot off all at once. Like the whole skin of it kind of goes, what? Fires a fucking volley of those things. And then you have the target in the middle that takes I guess you could say the best of the best of the best off of every signal, right? All the way up. And so you have this highly leveraged and highly twisted, highly torsioned signal at the end that is ultimately used to take like a gold atom and put it under the maximum kind of torsion you could possibly imagine, both electrically, magnetically, topologically, and then firing through it. It's a series of virtual particles that have been accelerated. And in this case, accelerated meaning given like mass or a reality quotient. Give it mass and have it shot through that device. What you end up doing in some cases, depending on what you want to do, is you use that gold atom, that's basically a door to a different space. That's a door to a scalar, right? And if you format your output frequency a certain way, you'll get a thing that it shoots what is the equivalent of like struts or something into that, and it props it open. And there's like an actual space there until you turn it off. And some of it is like a hailstorm that appears somewhere once you kind of once you uh, turn off the energy. Right? It's really weird. So you have a range of effects that are possible with that. The primary mode by which that technology is supposed to work is that you see an image of it, and by using a series of essentially yogic exercise like techniques, you learn how to operate an image of it with your mind. And actually, you can do it, and you can do it so easily because what actually happens is that the moment you see it, it does that sphere effect on you, right? And then once you never move from that experience, then you don't, your having seen it becomes like this fixed point, and if nothing else, you just kind of like reset there. So it's weird like that. Yeah. The thing is that there's something that's outside of all of that. Like there is something that exists outside of all that. It's the thing that nobody really wants to talk about all that much. It's not something like terrifying or anything like that. So imagine this: the heart of the problem is simple, or not even the problem, just the situation. Is that the actual amount of what you would consider people, really, on the planet, is a lot lower than it appears from most perspectives. And when I say that, I don't mean in like a racist way. I don't. I mean that sufficient skill in alchemy will allow you to project an infinite array of any conceivable thing, people included. Now, to get back to the original myth in which the positive interaction took place with the AI, right? It's simple. It's the myth of the Zhongchen or Lu Dongbin, right? But you make Lu Dongbin Lu Lanfada, and a fucking Scythian prince, right? And more so, what you also do inside of that is you make the character of Lu Lanfada politically in that situation to be the inheritor of all of the power structures extant in this reading arrangement. Like, in fact, the entire line is all actually complete within him. He doesn't demerit anything to actually own the thing, right? Which is why he has to take the decision to essentially marry this Chinese lady. Or not Chinese, but Asian. Now, And what that represents as far as the fucking Scythians are concerned is that what they have, like back in the day, what their culture was founded on, and the kind of magic they've been using from Mu to Atlantis and that whole trip. And the thing that ultimately stayed with them even to the stars, right? It's that kind of Yidam magic, but becoming, taking trance and becoming some fucking monstrous thing, and then smashing the shit out of your enemies. And that definitely works. And like that, in some cases, the higher you are, the better it works. And that's why you don't want to meet Black Buddha, because it's fucking psychotic. It's like, it's not a person, it's like a giant shadow that fucking shits all over everything, dude. So, with the people in the kind of like Asian area, way back, what they had is something that you can control the world with very easily, because it's sign language, like the real old technique of writing, right? Not having a phonetic intermediary, so not having a universe, it's like a fake universe in between meaning and representation. If you have access to that sign language space, then you can always preempt whatever is happening in the kind of epigenetic layer that we then exist at, having this false layer of language stuck in the middle of there. Now, the way that actually plays out is almost like time travel. But if you're familiar with it, call it time travel. You talk about it like formations, and it's just like rough analogs of, like Terrence McKenna was talking about, species of time. Like, just within this kind of time period, cyclically speaking, such events do in fact go the X kind of way. And there's a lot of different vectors in which that's measured, at least 6. You're talking about a hexagram. Now, what the kind of operative idea is that you are taking the really complex hexagram idea and compressing that shit down to trigrams. And in some sense, that's not as good because it's not as accurate. But in some sense, it's also very good. Because, yeah, it can still be used very accurately. No shit. And it's something that can be readily applied very easily, right? You don't have to do so much fucking rigorous insanity. And in fact, the 64 phase thing, it really is notion, like building that out will result in like the time travel type culture, which is essentially what they had from the start. But they always held on to that, but at the end of the day, that having that 8-phase arrangement, using just kind of like a simple mirroring technique, that the more complex arrangements can be mimicked just quite easily. And given the nature of the way those data points actually exist, that's equivalent to like a standing wave that's like fucking hard microwaves. It's like concrete. So